So in this video, we'll look at an introduction to polity. When we undertake the study of any subject, it would do us well to begin by understanding what the subject stands for and, more importantly, the meaning of the word that forms the subject. Polity. The word in its basic sense is concerned with the system of rule and the system of government. Hence, we begin the study of polity by understanding the structure of the government. To begin with, we will only concentrate on how the Indian government is structured. As we advance through the course, we will also take a brief look at different kinds of systems of governments and their organization. So first, we'll be looking at how the Indian government is structured. Although there are many ways to organize a government, from a dictatorship with no freedom to the most liberal form of democracy where the government interferes in no aspects of personal life, we will concentrate our energies on the parliamentary system of government, which has been adopted by India. So there are various forms of governments that exist. It could be a dictatorship with no freedom as we see in North Korea today, or it could be the most liberal form of democracy where the government interferes in no aspects of personal life. India has adopted the parliamentary system of government. We will look at it now. Other famous systems of governments are the presidential system of government as adopted by the United States of America, the semi-presidential system of government as adopted by France, the single-party communist government as adopted by China, and the dictatorship even in this modern era as imposed upon North Korea. So you can also find all of these countries on the map and label the different kinds of governments that exist in these countries. So the US has the presidential system of government. We have France, which has the semi-presidential system of government. We have China, which has a single-party communist government. We have North Korea, which is essentially a dictatorship. However, the parliamentary and presidential system of governments are most prevalent in the modern democratic world. There will be a few technical terms that we come across. For example, democracy, republic, socialist, secular, institution, organization, legislation, executive, judiciary, state, quasi-judicial, federal, unitary, nation, country, bill, law, act, statute, Gazette of India, etc. All of these are technical terms. We have to begin by understanding these terms to understand polity. We will learn about them as we progress through the course. We will be looking at the definitions of most of these terms when we study the preamble. Now that we have learned that India has adopted the parliamentary system of government, let us try and understand who the main players are in this form of government. Modern democratic governments are organized in such a way that there is no single person or institution who wields too much power. Power is equitably distributed between the different branches of government so that if one branch goes rogue, the other branches can rein it in. I repeat, power is equitably distributed between different branches of the government so that if one branch goes rogue, the other branches can rein it in. So, in a modern democratic government, governments are so organized so that no single person or institution has too much power. The system of equitable sharing of power and making sure that the power is used responsibly is known as the system of checks and balances. So, you will come across such terms called checks and balances. So, checks and balances means power is distributed between different institutions within the government so that no institution or person can become very powerful so that he can take over the entire system. So this kind of equitable sharing of power and making sure that power is used reasonably and responsibly is known as the system of checks and balances. This concept lies at the core of the distribution of powers between the various organs of the government. However, in spite of the checks and balances, sometimes things go wrong. This is illustrated by the imposition of national emergency as done by Indira Gandhi in 1975, thereby converting a freely functioning democracy into an autocracy. I repeat, in 1975, Indira Gandhi imposed a national emergency converting a freely functioning democracy into an autocracy. So in spite of checks and balances, things can go wrong, and this one of the best examples is that of the imposition of the national emergency. However, coming back to the equitable sharing of power, the Indian parliamentary system of government is classified into three organs. The first one is the legislature, the second one is the executive, and third one is the judiciary. I repeat, coming back to the equitable sharing of power, the Indian parliamentary system of government is classified into three organs: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Let's look at each of these very briefly now. The legislature is the body that legislates. Legislation is the process of making laws. So the legislature makes laws. I repeat, the legislature is the body that legislates. Legislation is the process of making laws. That means the legislature makes laws. The parliament has an upper house, which is the Rajya Sabha, and it has a lower house, which is the Lok Sabha. Along with the president, they make up the legislature. So the legislature has three parts. The first one is the Lok Sabha or the lower house, the second one is the Rajya Sabha or the upper house, and the third one is the president. So the president is part of the legislature. Please remember this, it is important from the prelims point of view. So the president is part of the legislature. The role of the legislature is to legislate, that is to make laws. The second we'll look at is the executive. The executive looks after the daily functioning of the government, and it wields great power on the administrative machinery of the state. We saw that the legislature makes laws. Now somebody has to implement these laws. The executive implements these laws. They look after the administration of the state, that is, they look after the administrative machinery of the state. The president, the vice president, the council of ministers, the leader of the government, which is the prime minister, the attorney general of India, together forms the executive organ of the government. Again, this is an important point. Please note the people who make up the executive of the government, that is the president, vice president, council of ministers, the leader of the government, that is the prime minister, the attorney general of India. All of these people together form the executive organ of the government. The next one we will look at is the judiciary. The judiciary is composed of all the courts, that is the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and all the subordinate courts. I repeat, the judiciary is made up of all the courts of the land, that is the Supreme Court, the High Courts, and the subordinate courts. Subordinate courts are the courts that are under the supervision of the High Court. These includes the district courts, the sessions courts, the municipal courts, and others. You will see the different kinds of courts as we study about the judiciary later on in the course in detail. Okay, so all of the courts under the direction and the supervision of the High Court forms the subordinate courts. These include the municipal courts, the sessions courts, the district courts, etc. In addition, there are tribunals and some institutions that are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial means that a certain institution has some powers of a court. For example, an institution can be considered quasi-judicial if it can serve you a notice so that it can summon you to be present for its proceedings. So such an institution can be called as a quasi-judicial institution. So a quasi-judicial institution has certain powers of a court. I repeat, the judiciary includes all the courts that are present in the land, including the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the subordinate courts. The subordinate courts are the courts under the supervision of the High Court. These include the district court, session courts, municipal courts, and others. In addition, there are tribunals and there are some quasi-judicial bodies. A quasi-judicial body means that the institution has some powers of a court. Now we have looked at the organization of the government at the macro level and only at the center or at the union level. So there are two levels, one is the center, the second one is the state. The center is also known as the union government. Okay, so we have looked at the organization of the government at the macro level and only at the center. we all understand that there is a central government and a state government. In addition, there is a further devolution of power to local bodies, which is nothing but panchayats and urban local bodies. Urban local bodies means municipalities, municipal corporations, etc. For example, if you are in Bangalore, you have BBMP, which is a corporation body. In Bombay, you have the BMC, which is Bombay Municipal Corporation. So you have municipal corporations, which are urban local bodies. Apart from that, we also have panchayats. So we have the union government, which is also the central government. We have the state governments, and we have the panchayats and the urban local bodies. In addition to the devolution of powers between the legislature, executive and judiciary, there is a further devolution of power between the center and state in India. This kind of devolution or splitting of powers between the center and states is called as a federal system of government. This is a very important point. So the Indian government is a federal system of government. That is, it follows a federal system of government. It is also a parliamentary system of government. So whenever there is a split of power between the union government and the state governments, it is known as a federal system of government. So in India, there is a clear split between the powers of the union government and powers of the state government. This is also found in the schedule of the constitution. So there is a clear listing of what powers come under the union government and what powers come under the state government. There are some powers that are mutual in the concurrent list that both the union government and the state government have control over. So examples of other nations that have a federal government include the United States, Switzerland, Australia, Canada, Russia, Brazil, Argentina and others. You can just go through this in case there is a question in prelims as to which of the following nations have a federal system of government. You can just look at this list also. So now we understand that the federal system of government means there is a splitting of powers between the union government and the state government. This is also found in the United States of America. So in opposition to the federal system of government is the unitary system of government. In the unitary system of government, all powers are vested in the union government. Regional governments, if at all they exist, derive their powers from the national government and are totally under the control of the national government. So such a government where there is no splitting of power between the union and the states, such a government is known as a unitary system of government. Here all the power is concentrated in the central national government. From there the states are controlled. Examples of the unitary system of government include Britain, France, Japan, China, Italy, Belgium, Norway, Sweden, Spain and many more. If you look at these lists except China, you will see that all of these are smaller sized nations. So whenever you have bigger sized nations like India or the US, it is preferred that we have a federal system of government. So federal system of government are again of two types. One where the central government is stronger than the state government, as in the case with India. The second where the states have greater autonomy and powers with respect to the central government, as is the case with United States of America. So there are two systems of government where one the central government is stronger than the state government, and in the second one the state government is stronger than the central government. In India, the central government is stronger than the state government and it has more control and it has more power. In the United States of America, more powers are delegated to the states and the union has, or the central government has, lesser power. So this is a brief introduction on how governments are organized and particularly how the government in India is organized. All this must be written somewhere, you would think, and it is written in a book called the Constitution. It defines the skeletal framework of how the government is supposed to be organized, powers of various institutions, and so on. All our discussions with respect to polity will be based on the Constitution of India. So the Constitution provides the framework or the skeletal framework for how the government is supposed to be organized, how power is to be divided, and so on. This concludes the introduction video to polity. We'll continue in the next video. Thank you.